tonight to be politically correct or to spare your feelings. If you're looking for something tasty on your palate, this won't be appealing. I've been quiet for too long, I'm finna open up and tell my story. I don't care what you think about me, stay tuned, cause we about to go explore. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Dana D. Fisher, aka P31.
Yo, what up, though? It's your boy Tain.
And welcome to the Faith and Trauma Podcast.
Are you having challenges living out your faith? Could it be trauma? Tap into the convo to find out.
Every Monday, see you there. The moment is here, the moment we have all been waiting for. It is time to tell our story.
Tell the story, huh? Who won first, you or me?
You.
Me?
Because yours happened first.
What happened to ladies first?
Yours happened first. Interesting fact was, there were 16 articles on my arrest.
Mm-hmm.
There was one on yours.
Wow.
Before we get into it, let's talk about how long you been educated or wasn't educated before then?
I say roughly about 8 to 10 years.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you get started?
I started as a substitute.
Okay.
And I got my foot in the door. And then I became a behavior interventionist counselor. I did one at alternative school as a campus monitor, I believe it was. Still all the same stuff. So yeah, about 8, 10 years doing that.
18.
About 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
All right, tell us what happened. Walk us through what happened. Or should we talk about what happened prior to that and then that?
I mean,
see, I know, but y'all don't know, but y'all gonna find out. So
I say it with a smile on my face, not because it's funny, but because anybody who knows me, I laugh off my pain. And so, it was a very traumatizing, since the podcast is Faith and Trauma, a very traumatizing situation. It was a situation with a young man. He was known for always causing havoc in the school. And me and him developed a relationship because everybody know, I was him. So I could relate to him. And so we developed a long, good relationship while I was there. Cried on my shoulder at the time too. Just a really dope kid, man. So long story short, he was putting hands on me before. We had a meeting with his parents and the principal and everything. We squashed it. He's done it again after that, and we squashed it again. And this particular day, I always told him, bro, you can't keep putting your hands on grown people. You know what I mean? In this particular day. So if you look at the video said I punched the kid. I didn't punch that man. It was an open hand. And if you look at the video, he actually, when I came towards him, because what he told me is, I beat your fat ass. That's what he told me. So that's when I stepped up towards him a little bit, and then you could see him push me. And then when he pushed me, I just reacted and I slapped him. Then, there you go, WSAV, breaking news. So, it was very heartbreaking. People always ask me why I didn't fight back in court. Why I just kind of laid down.
really,
Yeah, I laid down. I didn't really fight or contest or even try to plead a self-defense or anything. And that's for me because I wanted to take full accountability for my action. Because at the end of the day, I was wrong. No matter if it's justified or not. I'm still the adult. He's still the child. I still should have known better and handled that differently. However, the reason I didn't fight back in court or whatever is because I know in order to really fight in court, you have to really expose people and open them up, their past behaviors and patterns and stuff like that. And I know I've been humiliated before publicly. So I wouldn't want to do nobody else like that.
Right.
So for me, it was just like, man, you know what? Whatever comes to this, God, I take full responsibility for my actions. And it was traumatizing for me on another end because I lost everything. I pretty much was technically, as they say, homeless. And if it wasn't for a friend of mine who kind of put me up in this room and board, I would have been in the street, man. You know what I mean? And even losing that job, I had a part-time job at another school, cleaning up and stuff, just to make a couple extra dollars. They found out what happened at the other school and they fired me as well. So I didn't have no income. And since I had a pending case coming against me, it wasn't no income coming nowhere. Wasn't nobody giving me no shot.
nobody will hire you.
Nobody would hire me. So, long story short.
With pending charges, nobody will hire you.
Pending charges. So, long story short, losing everything. To this day, I think about it. I wonder how you doing. But somebody asked me one day if I could do it all over again, would I do anything different? And my response would be no. My response would be no because of what I learned from it.
Yeah.
What came about.
Yeah.
The thick skin that I groomed to have from it. And just the overall experience of being in that situation. It just taught me so much. And plus, if I wouldn't have been in all that situation, it wouldn't have deterred me to where I am now, and I wouldn't have the beautiful fiance that I have, and I wouldn't be sitting here with you, and none of this would be possible had none of that transpired. So at the end of the day, if I could do it all over again, would I do anything different? Nah.
I know one of the things that that is near and dear to your heart was your babies.
My babies.
And I remember specifically when the situation went down, he was pretty much barred from kids, wasn't allowed to be around children at all. Yeah, talk about that, because that's your heart, and that's one of the reasons why you became an educator, was because of the kids. So when that happened, I remember those conversations. Man, I miss my babies.
Yeah, I mean, I dedicated my life to them, whether it was in church, as a youth pastor, whether it was in the community as a football coach, basketball coach, whether it was in education or as a tutor and mentor, like every aspect that you can think of, I was trying to impact children. Even going as far as volunteering at, the
my mama's summer camp.
My
mom's
summer camp,
Children
big brother, big sister, all that stuff,
out.
So when that transpired, what it did, it created a fear where I didn't want to bother another man-child. And so the children I was working with at the time.
Wait. What you mean by bother not man-child?
I ain't had nothing to do with them. I ain't want to work with kids no more. I ain't want to go back into the school system to this day. Like, I don't want to deal with children at all.
Really?
Yeah, not because, well, let me take that back. I want to deal with the children.
But you scared that might happen again?
No, I'm not scared that that'll happen again. It's more of, I'm not ready to deal with the children again. I'm still working on me, getting me together. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be in that situation again. And these kids ain't getting no better. Man, let's think about the young lady that was on. Everybody's talking about it.
Let's talk about it, because you said you had a trigger behind that one.
Yeah, it bothered me, man, because I seen some comments where they was dragging a lady, man, and I was like,
I thought you said they were supporting her.
I seen the comments that was supporting, and I seen some that was dragging.
Okay.
And for the ones that was dragging her, I was kind of infuriated. Like, y'all get up there and do this. You know what I'm saying? And then the ones that was supporting, I was like, somebody actually get it. And it also triggered me on another end, since we're talking about faith and trauma. I got mad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Why did you get mad?
Because when I had my situation, the same support that she's getting and love that she's getting, I didn't get that. I felt like I was betrayed and everybody turned their back on me, man. So I was all in it by myself. And it still hurt to this day. As you can see, my eyes starting to tear. You know what I'm saying? So
let's talk. Can we unpack that?
Unpack it.
Yeah.
Don't have me out here like a little
female
now. Yeah. No, it's just for the ladies out there. You know what I mean? I was brought in and supposed to cry.
I remember those. I remember those moments, those conversations. You know, our meeting spot was Golden Corral.
Facts.
And after that situation happened, you didn't want to come out in public
at all.
And so I said, not only are you gonna come out, but at the time I was working at the county, and so I came in uniform. And boy, man, you would have thought that we was in a Freddy Krueger movie the way this brother was moving. Just the fear of being out in public and with an officer right after the situation. But you talk about everybody turning their back on. Ooh, let's talk about it. I know the church is a big part of it. We're talking about faith and trauma. So this is a part of, something, the trauma that happened in our own faith. Let's talk about church first. Okay. What had happened there?
Let me clarify, because I try to be very careful with my words.
Yeah.
Everyone didn't turn their back on me.
Okay.
That's what it felt like.
I got you.
I had so many people, including you, in my corner that helped me battle through. You know what I mean? And I just want to clarify that. Not everybody turned their back. It was some people who actually were supportive and looked out for me, and I appreciate you to this day.
That. Yeah, I'm glad you fixed that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's talk about church. What had happened?
What happened to
We ain't got to call no names.
Well, we don't call names. We ain't,
We ain't call no names, but let's just talk about maybe when you say you felt like they turned their back on you. What happened? What were things that were said? How they treated you?
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
It was so bad after it happened. It's a dear brother to my heart, man. I love him dearly to this day. I don't know if he knows knows how much I love him, but I rock hard with him. And, you know, I got a call from him. He threatened me. You know what I'm saying? Next time I see you, it's on site. And I'm like, bro, I pray for your fam, bro. Like, come on, man, we in church. You know what?
Like, you know me.
But it was all good. I understand, you know what I'm saying? And also from his perspective as a parent. You know, I get it. You know, I get it. But not only that, you know, I got death threats. You know what I'm saying? You could read in the social media comments, white people calling me nigga and I needed to be hung and all type stuff, man. I started, I disposed of all the stuff because I had kept a lot of those records, but, you know, Compton told me it wasn't healthy. I needed to let that stuff go, so. So, but yeah, it was dope, man. So, to get back to your point, when I got out into public, everybody know me. I don't know none of these people at any moment. Anybody can run up on me. You know me, man. I don't walk around with a pistol, man. I ain't about that life, you know what I'm saying? If I got to live like that, then I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
So, at the end of the day, it was just embarrassing.
I didn't come in tonight to be politically correct or to spare your feelings. If you're looking for something tasty on your palate, this won't be appealing. I've been quiet for too long, I'm finna open up and tell my story. I don't care what you think about me, stay tuned, cause we about to go exploring.
Well, at this point, I had already was on a decline. I started kind of declining when I left my ministry at Coffee Club. You know what I mean? When I was on the search for something else. And so, by that time, I was not preaching. You know what I mean? I was ministering and assisting the leader at that time, but me, myself, personally, I was not preaching. I wouldn't allow myself to.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of hard to stand in front of people who don't believe in you. You feel me? So, you don't believe in me, and I know you don't believe in me, and you really don't rock with me, and I ain't really feeling you like that right now. When I'm gonna stand up there and waste both our time for, I ain't gonna play with God like that.
Right.
So, it wouldn't have came from a genuine place if I tried to preach. It came from a place of anger and bitterness.
I remember some of our classmates having some comments about it.
Yeah, man, I know a few of them.
Yeah, I see. They saying some different things today.
That's what's so amazing about it, man. Because the same people,
the same
threw me
people
under the bus are now
same people. Hosanna.
Yeah, so but you know, it's cool.
Crucified.
It's cool, man.
So talk about your, because I do know that you, if I can share, you know, you challenged with depression at that time, severe.
Absolutely.
Suicidal thoughts.
Absolutely.
How were you able to recover? Like, how were you able to overcome to where you are now?
Man, I don't want to be all cliche and stuff, but God, you know what I mean? I didn't know how I was going to make it, but God did. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
you were still praying?
Absolutely.
Still reading your word?
Not as much, but that was the only thing that kept me through.
Yeah.
Because the way my mind was going.
Listening to word?
I wasn't as much.
Okay.
You know, okay. I was in self-medication mode. You know what I mean? Self-preservation now. You know what I mean? It's me against the world. So, like Peter in the Bible, you know what I'm saying? When things didn't happen as he expected to happen, he went and returned to his familiar place. He went fishing. He left what he told he wasn't supposed to leave, and he went fishing. Yeah. That's what I did. I went fishing. I went to what I knew, so I started smoking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I started self-medicating, of course, drinking, and, you know, the ladies always been an issue with a brother, but hey, I mean, you know, I'm trying to keep them this time. I'm trying to keep them this time. I'm trying to keep them. I'm doing right this time, though, God dog. But nah, okay. Man. So, yeah. That's what went down with the church. Yeah, man, I just felt like I didn't get any level of support from a lot of people who I thought were in my corner. So.
And so now, when you talk about, I know you talk about this time, you wouldn't change anything because the things you learned and the tough skin that you had to develop. Mm-hmm. How does that play? The people that you thought were going to support you that didn't support you, and now you got this tough skin and the things you learned as far as where their hearts were towards you.
It's all good. You know what I mean?
And forgiveness, huh? That sounds like me.
The only reason that I'm able to sit here on this camera right here with you and have this podcast talking about faith and trauma is because of forgiveness. Otherwise, I'd be sitting up here with an angry spirit, looking at the camera, knowing that there's a potential audience out there and just lashing out. But nah.
So you, because we ain't got the me yet. People talking about you, turn their back on you, humiliate you. Yeah. Publicly too, by the way, and then you turn around and forget.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, man. So again, y'all gonna hear me say this throughout this podcast. This is my co-host. We in this together, and y'all gonna hear me say this throughout the podcast. Faith and trauma. You go hear it all the time, and you go hear the word traumatic as well. So with that being said, yeah, I had to, because the trauma I've been in my life, if I didn't have forgiveness, I wouldn't be able to maintain not one single relationship. Whether that's on the job.
So we want to give a shout out to Boo now. We want to give a shout out to fiance. Fiance.
Babe, we doing it.
Big shout out to Bae. I appreciate it because she got the smile back on your face again.
Yeah,
I
man.
promise you, she got you out of a real dark place.
Yeah, man.
I think she came right on time.
Yeah.
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 I was going through a lot, man.
I big ups to her, for real.
Shout out.
Yeah.
I didn't come here tonight to be politically correct or to spare your feelings. If you're looking for something tasty on your palate, this won't be appealing. I've been quiet for too long, I'm finna open up and tell my story. I don't care what you think about me, stay tuned, cause we about to go exploring.
Alright, well I guess it's my turn.
Your
Let's
turn.
go ahead and pack this thing. And you actually can Google it right about now. If you Google Dana Fisher, Correctional Officer, Savannah, Georgia, and just see what comes up. But since a lot of y'all have already seen, let's talk about it. All right, so let's, May 7th. May 6th, let's start, Friday. So I was working Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I used to be a correctional officer at Ridgeland Correctional Institute in South Carolina. And I had some candy, some lollipops, some blow pops. I had multiple bags of candy, but those
Let me stop before we get copyrighted.
But those in particular. So on Friday, I brought the candy in, and contraband came to me 20, 30 minutes after and confiscated it. I didn't think nothing of it because we were in the middle of count. So I'm like, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was Friday. The next day, probably about 4:30, because I think it was either right before count. Yep, it was right before count.
Okay.
Or it might have been earlier than that. The lieutenant from contraband comes and says, hey, I need you to call me up front.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. All right, so he gonna come relieve you. Okay, cool. Still not, I said, wait a minute. Something just said, I hope this ain't got nothing to do with that candy. Dang, he was like, you in the ballpark. Okay, well, let's go find out what this is about. So I go in there and I sit in front of the agent, and he tells me that the lollipop field tested positive for meth.
Wow.
And I said, how? How? And so he asked me to write a statement, and shoot, I don't know. If you roll with me, just know I'm singing like that. I'm telling everybody. I'm telling your mama, your auntie, them, cousin, them, Ray Pookin them down the street. Do not do no crime around me, because I'm the one that's gonna first. Look, I'm how they say, I ain't snitching, I'm telling. So when he said, will you write a statement, I told him. And so what happened was, our dorm was the only dorm that had not locked down due to COVID.
Right.
Every other dorm, and we had inmates that died, behind COVID.
Wow.
So our dorm was the only dorm that did not lock down because we were getting, So they gave they gave the inmates watered down chemicals from the commissary. Well, that ain't doing nothing. That ain't killing nothing. And before COVID happened, the families of the inmates used to be able to donate them.
Okay.
So they could walk up to them, fill out this form, and donate chemicals, and then the unit managers, they'll come and take it to their dorm, distribute it out to all the inmates.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when COVID came down, they shut down all donations.
Okay.
So we, as the officers, were having to bring it in.
Okay.
So I did that the first time. One of my workers came to me and was like, Fisher, I want to give you something. I want to be able to contribute, since you're doing this for us. And I said, you can't give me nothing. You can't give me Cash App, my Venmo, Zelle, you can't do none of that. You can't give me no money. But what you can do is go tell your family to make a Walmart order, and I'll go pick it up for you. I thought it was innocent enough. You can see what's being ordered. You can see my name on my badge, so it wasn't like I gave you confidential information. So I was wrong as two left shoes. Let me just be clear. Ain't even to sit here and sugarcoat nothing. I was wrong. It was wrong to do it because it wasn't a proper protocol, but I did it from the right place.
Right.
Because again, our dorm was on the dorm, and our dorm. So what that means is, our dorm had to be the feeders. They had to work in the kitchen, the commissary, maintenance. They were the only inmates that worked on the yard. This particular dorm, they didn't want to get these boys no nothing. This is Buford. Buford, rough.
Okay.
You hear about Buford Richmond. Them Bama's was rough.
Okay.
And I tried to come down there and change, just give a little bit more light in darkness or despair, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, I told my inmate, I said, tell your family to put the Walmart order in.
and I'll go pick it up. That's what happened. I went to Walmart, pulled up, popped the trunk, ain't even got the car. She put it in there. I didn't even know it was in the bags. Boom. And go to work the next day. So as I'm looking through the bags, I noticed there's some candy. I said, little Bama got in on me. But I was bringing in candy prior to that. There's a candy dish that was on my desk that has candy in it.
Right.
So it wasn't anything unusual. All the officers, all the sergeants, lieutenants, anybody who's over these dorms, that's what we do.
Okay.
So it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. And what happened was, so what I learned is if you put food next to chemicals, that the food will begin to absorb the chemicals. I learned a whole chemistry lesson, biology, whatever science lesson. So when I brought it in, I brought all the chemicals in, and I brought all the candy in. They told me I couldn't bring it in because I just brought a bunch of chemicals before. So mind you, all that came inside. I brought it all back out, put it in the trunk, and it sat in the trunk for like 2 weeks. Hot, cold, raining. It was just sitting there. I felt like it didn't belong to me, so I wasn't gonna bring it to my house and use it or whatnot. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. So I said, okay, well, let me at least bring the candy inside.
Right.
Bring the candy inside. Go through the check because everything has to be X-rayed, examined, everything. Go to my dorm, and then, like I said, about 20 minutes later, contraband and one of the LTs comes to confiscate it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then so that was on Friday. The next day, I get arrested. Mm-hmm. While I'm sitting in front of him, I'm telling him everything. That I just told you. He was like, you know, you're not supposed to get anything from inmates. I'm like, okay, cool. That's the only thing I'm wrong for.
Gotcha.
They tried to hit me. They hit me with misconduct in office, distribution of meth, and something. It was a third charge, something dealing with drugs. And again, field tested positive. Field. What I learned about field tests, it's not admissible in court. What I also learned about a field test, chocolate can test positive for meth. You have to actually take it to the lab for them to be able to say what was on the candy. Okay. Now, I believe it was sitting next to, it literally was sitting in the midst of all this chemical, bleach, fabuloso. Those are components that make up meth. Okay. Imagine that. Bleach. So everything I got in the trunk, it's a nice little chemical reaction going on. Right. But I didn't know that, you know what I mean? And it's sitting there in the candy, so I'm pretty sure something happened. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't even like people smoking cigarettes and weed around me. So I'm definitely not going to be no meth head. But and I would have been honest about it if I did it, but no. And I gave a statement to all the inmates because I remember asking that particular inmate. I said, go ask so and so see if they want to contribute. So it wasn't like I was trying to do anything secretive. I know inmates tell. They're gonna tell everything. So if you did something wrong, they're gonna tell it. So okay, fine. If I'm telling you to go ask everybody, I'm feeling like y'all know I ain't trying to be. Hey, don't tell so and so. You know what I mean? Right. So they arrest me. And because I wrote the statement and because I was so cooperative, the agent was like, well, we'll make sure that the judge gives you a waiver so you can get out without bond. Without having a bond. We'll try to make this go as quick as I said. I got to spend a night in jail. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that you can get out on a Sunday. I'm thinking I'm going to be in this joint, for the weekend. Right. So, of course, now I'm boo-hooing crying. I was crying when I sat in there. And Mama! I was crying when he said you arrested. What? Excuse me? So he put the cuffs on me, cuffed me from the back, and he put the jacket over my cuffs. And I was like, you ain't got to do that. He said, no. He says, I want to at least, reserve your dignity and whatnot. And I just was like, all because I was trying to help. Right. Like, that's how I felt. I was trying to help, and the only thing that kept playing in my head is all the officers saying, you can't help these mother inmates. You can't help them, can't help them. All that started playing back in my head, like, dang. Right. As innocent as going to Walmart and get some chemicals was. I mean, you know what I mean? So, walk there, go to the trunk. I say, yo, get the rest of that candy out. So I still had the chemicals that he purchased and other candy in the trunk. Had both the lieutenant... The lieutenant that came and got me, the one that checked me in that day, I said, take that candy too and get it tested as well, because I want to know. Because that means Walmart owed me a check. How, that had to be a real inside job. That's how I felt. So I go to jail. Mind you, I go to jail in a correctional officer uniform. Change out to an inmate uniform.
How did the inmates treat you?
Well, they put me in. When I tell you they were so nice. So here's where the faith part comes in. Cause I'm traumatized. When he said arrest, I ain't I was on Jupiter. What? But when I got there, the officer. So usually when an officer gets arrested, it ain't nothing nice. Mm-hmm. Like you might not know the full story, but you know an officer did this, and so now you don't depend. So basically, you get treated like an outcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you get treated as an outcast. These officers were so nice to me, and I think that's what made. I mean, I was crying the entire time because I'm like, this is you mugshot, fingerprint,
yeah,
inmate uniform,
all that,
slides, looks,
all that.
What's wrong with slides?
Did you sleep in a little boat?
Man, boat, a mattress.
Want to get a mattress?
On the.
Want to do the little boats no more?
No, they put me in. I was still in booking. I was in Jasper County.
Gotcha. So
they kept me at this. Like, we're not gonna put you in general population because we don't believe you'll be here that long. So okay. And we don't want to do that to one of our own. That right there hit me. Because again, normally you be treated like an outcast. So for them to still acknowledge that I was one of their own, they gave me unlimited phone calls. I called my mom and my pastor, and that was it. They was like, "You don't want to call me?" Nope. My mama and my pastor, and that was it. That was the only 2 phone calls I made. And I sat and I cried. I explained to them. I told them, I was like, I don't know. They was like, it's going to work out. I got to get their names because those 2 officers blessed me something. I mean, man, they let me stay out until the shift changed. It's like, okay, unfortunately, we got, because the shift is changing over, we got to put you in. I'm just like, you finna lock me in the cell? Like, I was just turning keys earlier that day.
Right.
Going to sale, they gave me 2 mattresses. She's like, that's the best I could do. She's like, I give you 2 blankets. The blankets smell like onions. I mean, it was just, I go in here and you lock the door behind me. They let the flap down.
Let's break a little bit of that down. When you first got to the jail, and you realized, man, I'm about to go to jail. What was that emotional response from that?
Trauma. Like, when he said arrest, it wasn't, when he put the handcuffs on.
That's when they got real. So, let me ask this thing. If you felt trauma, what do you think your kids felt? Seeing mom on the news and hearing about her and reading about her. And
my kids didn't know. I told my kids, and they laughed.
They ain't gonna care whenever.
They laughed because they had just gotten detained.
I'm sorry,
no, you good. I can laugh about it now too. It was funny. It wasn't funny then, but I spent the night. So I'll fast forward. I won't go in all the details till you ask your questions. But fast forward. I spent the night. Got out on Mother's Day, May 8th.
How about that?
Got out on Mother's Day, and so got home. Tried to salvage as much as my Mother's Day as I possibly could with this traumatic experience that just happened to me. And I said, before y'all find out, because I knew it was gonna be blast all over the news. Before y'all find out, before anybody said anything, this is what happened. And we actually went out to dinner. The boys laughed, and my boys had just got detained maybe like a month before that. And I went down in one and up the other. And there was, the camera said, Mom, I guess we all a bunch of criminals in this family, huh?
What? So they probably felt like, yeah, you was all down our neck. Now you see how to be in opposition.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, absolutely. And I couldn't do nothing but just eat that.
So what lesson were you able to instill in them from behind that? Because we already tried to, hey, you do this, you go to jail, I'm down your throat, you put me in jail, and then I turn around and do the same stuff I'm fussing at you about.
Yep.
What lesson can you pass down to the viewers and the listeners and even your children that listen?
You know what it did for me? I know it lacked my parenting a lot because I realized we teach from do as I say and not as I do. That was the old school, right?
Absolutely.
But my pastors in Maryland taught me more is caught than taught. They watch what you do, and that's how they learn.
Absolutely.
And so I became more compassionate towards my kids. I'm not saying that I was all perfect,
Right.
I'm not saying I was walking no straight, narrow line, but I never saw no arrest to where, you know what I mean? So I actually became more compassionate towards them. But I still, you know, as a parent, you still want your kids to do better than you.
Absolutely.
You still gonna listen to what the heck I say.
Absolutely.
And if you're still making dumb decisions that will cause these type of repercussions, okay, yeah, I'm happy to let you have it. You gonna have to, you got to find it the hard way.
So, how long ago was this arrest? What year was this again?
2 years today.
2 years today. So, from 2 years ago today, how have you bounced back from that?
From 2 years today, how have I bounced back? I made a decision. I got out that Monday. It felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. I felt the guilt, the weight of this arrest. And I knew it was going to go public.
Right.
My pastor called, and she put me on the reel with her leader. Her leader said, God said, I allowed this to happen, but you're going to be all right. I'm going to bring you through. While she was smacking on whatever it is, thought she had. God said, He allowed this to, I'm receiving the word because at this point I'm desperate. Give me anything, Lord. You're going to be all right. God said He allowed this to happen. But so when I got that word, peace came. Even though I knew, because mind you, I walked through this with you prior to this.
Right.
So I was looking for the embarrassment. I was waiting on the shame and the guilt. I was waiting for that. Now I had it that night when I was in jail. Boy, I was a repentant up. Oh God!
Gotta give you some of that jail house.
Yeah, boy, listen.
It'd be like that.
Oh my God!
It'd be like that.
Now the food was good though.
At the jail?
What? That food was good.
I can't imagine.
I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend that. Don't go to jail for food. But Jasper County has some good food. Okay.
I didn't come here tonight to be politically correct or to spare your feelings. If you're looking for something tasty on your palate, this won't be appealing. I've been quiet for too long, I'm finna open up and tell my story. I don't care what you think about me, stay tuned, cause we about to go exploring.
So this is Faith and Trauma podcast show with your girl, Dana Fisher, a.k.a. P31.
Yo, what up, though? It's your boy, Tain.
And we thank you for tuning in with us. Listen, every Monday, Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m., y'all can check us out. Check out in this next show. What we talking about next? Everything, anything. Stay tuned. We are going to walk y'all through, because we understand as a believer that trauma happens. How you deal with your trauma is what we're going to talk about, how we dealt with it, and how our special guests that we're going to be inviting on here deal with it too. So if you guys have any ideas, anything you want us to talk about or share, expound on, nothing is off limits.
Absolutely. And we're going to also talk about what exactly trauma is, some of the effects of trauma. How do you know if you may have trauma or not? So we're definitely going to get you some education. We're going to put you out some information, because sometimes you suffer in silence. You know, and one of the reasons we made this podcast is we want to reach those who actually suffer in silence. You know, sometimes the church just didn't work for you for whatever reason. You know, those are,
We'll
get into all that good stuff. But we just want to thank you for coming out and listening to us.
We do want you to stay tuned. And we do want to pray for you. We want to invite you to Christ, because at the end of the day, faith and trauma, our faith is in Jesus Christ. So
Thanks.
I just want to repeat after me. If you're not saved and you want to be saved, the Bible says in Romans 10:9-10 that if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that God raised Jesus from the dead, then you shall be saved. So on this day, if you just repeat after me, say, I, and then whatever your name is, believe, I, Dana, believe that God raised Jesus from the dead, and that He rose, and that He now sits at the right hand of the Father. He died for my sins. And now I'm saved. And that's it. Amen. So welcome to the family, and welcome to the Faith and Trauma family. We'll see y'all next time.
Deuces.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Dana D. Fisher, a.k.a. P31.
Yo, what up, though? It's your boy, Tain.
And welcome to the Faith and Trauma podcast.
Are you having challenges living out your faith? Could it be trauma? Tap into the combo to find out.
Every Monday. See you there.